Economists say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you.
Civil society organizations, CSOs, can be described as a community of individuals that function outside of government, working in the interest of the citizens and raising awareness on issues such as gender-based violence, environmental degradation, and corruption, amongst others. In a situation where government is grappling with developmental challenges, civil society organizations are the accelerators for the enhancement of transparency and good governance in our national life by provoking public consciousness on issues surrounding the formulation and implementation of government policy, as well as ensuring integrity in governance. Today on the program, we shall highlight the role CSOs can play in the fight against corruption. Welcome to Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Hawa Sani Garba. But first, Ruth is standing by with updates on happenings around the world of the Commission. Over to you, Ruth.
Welcome to the segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Awudi. The chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, has stated that the recently passed Proceeds of Crime, Recovery and Management Act, POCA, would help address the architectural gaps in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. The ICPC chairman stated this during a one-day capacity building training for officers of the Commission on the Poker and Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 held at the Commission's headquarters recently. Professor Owasonye explained that the training was organized to keep the staff of the Commission abreast with two of the new legislations recently signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. According to him, corruption and other related offenses such as money laundering and illicit financial flows undermine the stability of not only Nigeria but other countries, adding that in the quest to fight the menace of corruption, countries now engage in self-assessment which considers several indices and reveals many things including vulnerabilities.
This is the quickest way by which everybody can know what is in those laws. And I'm sure it has worked because they have called attention to things that some people in the next 1 year, they will not meet the statute and they will be investigating. But today, your appetite has been whet by the presentation, and then you can go further to validate and check some of them. And they've given you pointers. My intention is to create pointers to say, okay, oh, this can make work easy, this can make work easy.
The chairman implored all participants, particularly prosecutors, to take advantage of the innovations of the two new legislations as they carry out their work in the fight against corruption in the country. 4 papers were presented on the topics: Introduction to the Proceeds of Crime, Recovery and Management Act 2022, Legal Procedures, Introduction to Proceeds of Crime, Recovery and Management Act 2022, administrative issues under the Act, innovations under the Introduction to Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022, and quick wins under the Introduction of Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. In another development, in a continued bid to deepen their collaboration and ensure a corruption-free corps, ICPC and the Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) recently held a capacity training for their operatives. Speaking at the event themed Improving the Capacity and Competence of ICPC and FRSC Operatives in Carrying Out Effective and Result-Oriented Joint Operations at the ICPC Headquarters, the Corps Marshal Dr. Boboye Oyeyemi, MNI, dwelt on the need for continuous synergy between the two agencies while revealing that as a result of the joint operations tagged Operation Tranquility, 127 of its officers were arrested for their involvement in corrupt practices. He further stated that those indicted for corruption by ICPC through Operation Tranquility have been disengaged.
If we reflect deeply, we will realize the tremendous negative effect of corruption and corrupt practices on our economy, our cultures, and by extension, our dear country, Nigeria. The theme for this two-day workshop, Effective and Results-Oriented Joint Operations, is very apt as it resonates the essence of this partnership and our united resolve to equip our operatives with the requisite skills to rid our workforce of corrupt practices. Before extending same to members of the motoring public, just as they say, charity begins at home. Thus, we cannot overemphasize the importance of this program, as it will greatly enhance our collaboration and help the agencies actualize their respective mandates. Attitudinal issue relating to bribery and corruption is truly inimical to the progress of any organization. It is not limited to the public alone, but also has direct effects on the internal system of any organization. In FRSC, the present management administrative organ is built on tripod of consultation, reward, and punishment. This has ensured that high performance among staff are rewarded with training, promotion, and other incentives.
The Corps Marshal expressed the hope that the outcome of the training would contribute to the building of sustainable foundations for the reduction in corruption, safe road usage, peace and tranquility in Nigeria. On his part, the ICPC chairman, Professor Bolaji Owasonye, SAN, who declared the training open, charged law enforcement agencies to ensure that bad eggs were removed from the system to stop them from corrupting others and damaging the reputation of the leadership.
Law enforcement succeeds better on collaboration and collaborative basis because you will find out that an infraction of the law usually has a lot of boundaries around it, and road safety is one of those critical issues. Even though it is described as road safety, in order not to breach that boundary of safety, because once you cross that boundary, you are crossing into illegality. The standards that are set for road safety, road use, and all that, they are designed to keep us all safe. But once you cross that boundary, you have done wrong. And there are many other areas of law enforcement that you drift into. And in order to be able to succeed effectively, it is important to collaborate with other people.
He went further to say that the Commission was willing to partner with agencies to enable them succeed in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. Earlier in her welcome address, the head of Special Duties Division of ICPC, Mrs. Vera Esidene, said the training was born out of the collaborative effort and synergy between the two agencies following successful operations carried out in the past.
I believe that at the end of this training, that the cooperatives will be better placed to perform efficiently in future joint operations after this training.
The training, which was conducted both physically and virtually, featured topics bordering on surveillance, investigation, casing of operational environment, court trial, effective and professional method of conducting body search and seizures, delivered by facilitators drawn from ICPC, FRSC, and Department for State Services, DSS. That would be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues. Stay with us.
If you are just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go, and our focus is on the role of CSOs in the fight against corruption. CSOs can hold public officials accountable and pressure the state to take action against corruption and implement reforms that can bring about fiscal responsibility in government business. What are the approaches adopted by the CSOs in driving home these anti-corruption messages? We spoke to some members of CSOs, and this is what they have to say.
I think the government has started it by a way of ensuring that even if you go to ICPC website now, even their newsletter, you can see now they can tell you the total amount of money that they have recovered and the number of cases that led to that. That kind of data is what send the right signal. And then when you talk about social inclusiveness, the recent asset return from Abacha, you now use for cash transfer program in Nigeria, targeting the poor or the poorest. That's inclusiveness.
If we must have an all-inclusive governance that is transparent and where we look at accountability, then we must understand that everybody is a stakeholder, rights to women, to youth, and persons with disability. And presently, where we look at election, which is very, very close, we're looking at fighting corruption, considering the level of moral decadence which has been an issue, and the youth at the forefront. We're looking at not just CSOs holding meetings, just like the representative of the ICPC chairman has said, we should look at strategies to amplify our voices as CSOs to get to the grassroots, which is very important, because each time we sit here and we discuss, then how well does all of this transcend to the grassroots, which is very, very important. So beyond holding this workshop, we're looking at translating eventual results down to every other person on the street.
You are still watching Corruption Must Go, and our focus is on the role of CSOs in the fight against corruption. The role of CSOs in the enthronement of accountability and probity in the management of the nation's scarce resources cannot be overemphasized. They stimulate dialogue around corruption, carry out corruption prevention campaigns, participate in policy formulation, and monitor the implementation of anti-corruption laws and strategies. How have the CSOs fared in carrying out this sacred obligation? Have their efforts yielded any positive results? Bathsheba Tagoi of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, is on hand to take us through.
We have cases that were brought to us, corruption-related cases that were brought to the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center, which we forwarded to the ICPC for appropriate action, and I can categorically confirm to you that these cases were resolved. We actually have some that are currently in court, and so for us that is a level of success. We are very happy with our collaboration with ICPC, the work has been seamless. They've been very supportive of our effort, and they've understood that what we're trying to do is to complement the effort of ICPC and other anti-corruption agencies. Because at the end of the day, we're all working for the betterment of Nigeria as a whole. And another thing that I would rate is something, it might not be a case, but like I said, in the area of awareness creation and sensitization, being able to reach, we've leveraged on the platform of the ICPC. They have offices across the country. They have officers who are always willing and ready, to mobilize and to be there to, have one-on-one interaction with Nigerians in different communities that we've been to. And so that has been a success for us, being able to partner with them and leverage on their network and their platform to really, do the work that we do.
CSO's activities are crucial to the attainment of national anti-corruption reforms. However, their efforts can be undermined by corruption. How are the CSOs able to weather the storm and carry out their anti-corruption engagement effectively despite challenges? Let us hear from Mr. Ode Friday of Accountability Lab.
One very key role CSOs can play in the fight against corruption, which is eating deep into the Nigerian society, is to help citizens understand their role as well, because we see civil society organizations as very key, as the key informants in informing citizens on their role in the active participation in governance processes. If there's a problem in your community that's affecting you in terms of accountability issues, integrity, corruption, in any of these cases that you can find from budgets, projects, contracting processes, we need citizens to be aware of that, of their role. So citizens, civil society organization in its entirety can help bridge that gap to create information which are reliable, which are understandable in simple formats for citizens to understand and engage with government to help fight corruption. I must tell you, it's a tough scenario within the Nigerian context, because you have several civil society organizations springing up almost every day in every part of the country, working on different issues. Like we have seen in a report by Matthew Page some months ago, talks about pro-accountability civil society organization and also pro-government. So sometimes we also fight we battle as civil society organization to understand who is doing what and who is preferring solutions to corruption issues in terms of accountability. So you find civil society organizations who are there for their own personal gains, for their own personal needs, for their own survival as well. So those are conflicting civil society organizations who also come together in terms of forming a coalition and saying, oh, we are doing ABCD, and giving the public and informing the public, like we mentioned earlier on, in their own pathways. But you have other people who are doing the right thing and also working with anti-corruption agencies like ICPC and ensuring like the right information is going out there, ensuring that people are actively engaging in and participating in the fight against corruption. ICPC is one of our strongest partners. Once you identify with government officials and government organizations, MDAs, who are doing the right thing, who are working for the good of the society to ensure that all of us are beneficiaries of a great democracy which we are working towards. For that, we just want that identification. We work towards identifying with the right people and doing the right thing at all times. There's been huge reports. I must really commend the work of ICPC under the leadership of Professor Bolaji. He's been doing really amazing work, and the partners we've worked with from the education department to the public awareness department, ACAN as well. I think that it's been great partnership, and we've been able to see that part of what we do is the integrity icon, which names and fames public servants who are doing the right thing in public service. And we've seen ICPC also adopt that model with their integrity awards.
Over the years has engaged with different CSOs in order to deal with the issues of corruption as it affects the Nigerian society. What is the outcome of these collaborative efforts made by the Commission? Mrs. Ese Okwong of Public Enlightenment and Education Department of ICPC tells us more.
ICPC recognizes the place of CSOs. They are vital and they are key in the fight against corruption. And so the ICPC since 2007 established what we call the National Anti-Corruption Coalition. It's an initiative under which the Commission relates with CSOs, NGOs, faith-based organizations, and others who are interested and have the objective of combating corruption. The ICPC, after the establishment of the National Anti-Corruption Coalition, went ahead to let NGOs know that there is, a body like this, and we have asked them to come on board in the fight against corruption by first of all registering with the National Anti-Corruption Coalition. When you register with the coalition, you get, get more information about you, and then we carry out what we call vetting. We vet the NGOs to find out if they are actually credible. After which our partnership with them, begins. We have had a situation where there's this initiative of the Commission called Constituency Executive and Project Tracking Initiative. Under this initiative, the Commission has tracked projects nationwide, and we have found members of the NACC very relevant to this initiative. The Commission also has youth education and mobilization programs. We reach out to youths in schools, primary schools, secondary schools, colleges of education, universities, under what we call the anti-corruption vanguards for tertiary institutions, and what we call student anti-corruption clubs for secondary schools. Under this platform, we have found members of the NACC very, very relevant. They carry out sensitization, they reach out to schools, they also print information, education and communication materials, IEC materials, and distribute to schools. These are ways, in which the Commission has engaged members of the NACC. The Commission has also reached out to religious leaders nationwide, members, of the religious faiths, Christian faith, Islamic faith, and we have found members of the NACC also very relevant in this regard. On their own, members of the NACC go ahead and they carry out programs. The Commission comes in this regard to also aid them. We have had reason to fund some programs organized by members of the NACC. The Commission has also provided resource faculty for some of these programs organized by the NACC. The Commission has also provided IEC materials, to some members of the NACC. They actually need, these materials for their programs. Also, the Commission has also partnered with members of the NACC to carry out grassroots trainings, reaching out to people in the nook and crannies of the nation. These are some of the areas in which the Commission has engaged members of the NACC. We recognize their role, and so we have asked them to come on board in the anti-corruption crusade, and we are doing well in that regard.
Like any other segment of the society, the CSOs are not immune to the adverse effects of corruption. Rather, they are also affected by it. Their role as the watchdog of the society cannot be underestimated. Only a collective action by all and sundry can address this menace of corruption that has retarded our quest for development. That's our package on today's edition. See you again next week. Bye for now.